On this week's episode of the Fake Racers podcast, Joe and Davey break down everything from Atlanta, their opinions on all the hard racing, hard off-track action, and talk about why they are excited but cautious about the Bristol Dirt race. Strap in, get your popcorn, you're going to love it. This is episode 24 of the Fake Racers podcast. Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Fake Racers podcast. As always, did he really just squeak that behind me right at the start? I'm sorry. I mean, I'm keeping this because one take. Bristol behind me making his appearance. Davey over there.
Yawning. Energetic.
Yeah. Well, we're just getting off the call of an amazing TMP Late Model Series race on the JTN YouTube page. So go check that out if you're listening to us on podcast, on Spotify podcast or Apple.
It was a great
podcast.
race. A long day and a long night for the both of us, I think. But we got to keep the energy up. So we got to do what we got to do here. We got to talk about racing. We got to get through this. We got to talk about Atlanta. We got to talk about Bristol. We got to talk about some other stuff eventually, maybe. But
yeah, look at Bristol.
I'm here for it. Bristol's here for it. Joe's here for it. We're all here for it. We're gonna get the energy going, and I'm gonna drink the hell out of this water. That doesn't count.
That doesn't count because that's a place, Michigan, actually. So let's dive right into it then, Davey. Cup Series at Atlanta. Let's start there. There's some other spicy stuff coming, so you're gonna have to wait for it, but you know how to get to it. Cup Series at Atlanta. Ryan Blaney makes a pass under 10 laps to go to win his fifth career race, his fifth career win with a pass under 10 laps to go in the race. It's a crazy stat. Let's talk about this. Let's start with Logano. Everyone was talking about how Logano was really taking the air off of Larson's car. Now, here's the thing. Atlanta, worn out racetrack, there's multiple grooves.
Correct.
And Larson could have ran a different groove at any time.
Yeah. I think that is I don't know. I don't think I like that argument. I mean, I think it's
You don't like the Logano held him up argument?
I mean, Logano definitely held him up.
But did Logano
Yeah, but see that. But my that's not my argument. Isn't like, oh, he bad Logano. That's
bad
not
Joey
Logano. Bad Logano. I mean, I think I'd be really annoyed. I'd be really angry. But at the end of the day, he is a driver trying to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah.
All these other factors that everyone has been over time and time again. We've had this discussion happens endlessly. It happens at least 4 or 5 times a season where we have a lap car struggling to stay on the lead lap, and it plays a part in the general spectrum of the big picture of the race. I don't think anyone disagrees that a car that's going a lap down should be trying to fight for their position. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
It just gets sticky when it's a teammate.
Yeah, it gets sticky when it's a teammate because people look at F1. It's like bad F1, bad NASCAR for letting that happen, bad, and they switch back and forth with the bads, and it's just kind of silly. Most people wouldn't really think about it if it were any other way. When Ryan Newman does it, it's like, oh, good old Newman, or Newman, you little jokester, you crazy guy, and
you jerk.
Yeah, and then the teammate thing happens, and it's like, wait a minute,
this
that's
isn't right.
team orders. I don't like those words. Those words scare me. Said most fans on Sunday.
It's throw buzzwords out there, right? It's throw buzzwords out there to get people to watch, to get content. That's not what we're doing here. I don't think it was team orders. I think it was Logano trying to stay on the lead lap. I really do. Knowing Joey Logano and the way he works with his teammates,
with the added benefit of some brownie points with Mr. Penske.
Yeah, because he needs a lot of those after Daytona.
Yes, he does.
Good for Blaney, though. We've talked about it a lot with him when we talk about him. Not usually the best at making a car better throughout the race. I don't know if maybe that's him and Todd Gordon kind of getting to the point where they're, they understand each other now. I think Todd Gordon kind of did the same thing with Joey Logano. I think Joey Logano was a lot similar during his early career. I think that's why they put Todd with Blaney. Try to do that because look at Logano had his breakout year in 2014, second year with Penske. This is Blaney's second year with Todd Gordon, same as Logano, second year Todd Gordon, Penske. But I'm sorry, you were saying something.
No, it's fun. No, I was just gonna kind of say, like, I mean, we have been over this with Blaney, and I don't think Blaney's out of the woods of getting out of that. little thing yet. I think he still needs to prove himself for the rest of the season because it's a very Blaney like to have a really good first half of the season, kind of mosey into the playoffs, and then go out with a whimper for the most part.
Mhm.
I, as a Blaney fan, as a guy who likes Ryan Blaney, I hope that he changes it up this year. I hope that
Right.
he's grown and he's learned, and this is actually, instead of being his win on the season, it's the start of his season, more or
Right.
less.
And it's not coming late in the year. Like he's had the
Yeah.
couple years where he won the Roval and then he won the fall Talladega race. And last year he won that Talladega race, which was middle of June. But that's
Mhm.
pandemic things, so don't really care about the
A little
timeline
different.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little different.
He also walled Eric Jones to win the race, but whatever.
Oof.
He did. I mean, he
I know he
did.
did.
But
I
it's
was there.
okay. He won the race. Won the race. So okay. It's okay, Ryan Blaney. I like you. I also just real quick, for Ryan Blaney's a throwback too, in a lot of ways, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think it's just like some of these guys, they try to act like they're big, rough, tough guys, and we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah.
But Blaney is a true throwback. The whole doesn't do burnouts after he wins a race, I think is special. I mean, maybe if you want to see burnouts after your race, you're probably hoping Ryan Blaney doesn't win. But man, I really like Ryan Blaney's just his celebration, giving the checkered flag to the little kid that had the Ryan Blaney shirt on. I mean,
He
good job,
does.
good job, Ryan Blaney.
Brian Blaney is a really engaging character in the sport. There's been a lot of talk this week about what NASCAR needs and who NASCAR needs and what kind of drivers NASCAR needs. And a lot of people somehow still overlook Blaney despite proving week in, week out, every season, social media, on the racetrack, off the racetrack, that he's the kind of guy the sport needs. He's the guy that can bring fans. He's engaging. People love Ryan Blaney. Like, you know,
Yeah,
he's important for the sport.
well, that's exactly it too. I mean, that's why Penske gave him that big contract extension last year in the middle of the pandemic, or maybe it was before the pandemic started. But they gave him that big contract extension. I think it was 3 years or 4 years. And Menard's re-upped and whatnot, even with Austin Cindric coming up the pipeline. So, I mean, people talk about social media engagement when they talk about other drivers. Ryan Blaney does it right.
Hmm.
Not out there being an idiot, fisticuffs with people. He's not wrecking a bunch of people every single week. He's not calling people out on social media all the time. He's not being a jerk in half of the NASCAR fans' eyes. So he does it right, and there is a right and a wrong way to do things, and Ryan Blaney does them right. And Chase Elliott does them right, honestly. You'd like to see him more engaged, I think, but I think if we had Twitter back in 2004, I think Dale Jr., we would have liked to see Dale Jr. more. I think
Hmm.
part of, because I think there's always going to be that comparison between the two. They came up together, they're good friends, and I think a lot of people look at Ryan Blaney and they're like, oh, he's boring. It's his voice. And they look at
Uh-huh.
Chase Elliott and they're like, oh, he's boring. It's his actions that make him boring. Ryan Blaney's voice and his tone that makes him boring. And I'm using air
Hmm.
quotes because neither of them are boring. They're both good guys. I thought Chase actually, his pre-race interview was pretty funny. I was pretty surprised that he was kind of loose before the race because we haven't really seen that before. Anyways, tangents. Larson, I want to talk about the flows real quick of the race.
Hmm.
Larson's car just wasn't good on a long run, and this is why I don't like people just saying, "Oh, Blaney won because Logano held Larson up."
Yeah.
We saw the run at the end of stage 2. Once Blaney got around Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson's teammate, um, he was able to cut about 2 seconds off of Larson's lead in about 10 laps to the end of the stage. And then throughout the second stage, or the final stage, they were on even footing at the start of the run. Blaney was able to keep within 2 seconds. They were swapping back and forth fastest lap. Part of that, Cliff Daniels, I guess, told Larson to kind of keep him at arm's length away. And just kind of like don't run it too hard, which I think is probably what he did early on in the race and why he got out to such
Hmm.
a lap to up to 13 something at one.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
crazy.
that's crazy. But I think Blaney had the better car in the long run. But the trends at Atlanta and Larry Mack talked about it usually get a caution within the last 25 laps. So I think that's what they were thinking. But the trend this year is that we're not getting late race cautions. We haven't had a caution with under 10 laps to go, I don't think, is the stat.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I think a lot of people somehow it's weird that people overlooked this because it was really obvious that Blaney was just the 12 car was so fantastic on those last like 10 laps, kind of over the course of the run at the end. I mean, it's just unstoppable almost. I mean, Logano held up Kyle Larson. I don't think there's any debate there, but there was number one. We already went over the fact that there's probably no ill intent, but also, again, like you just said, the 12 car was going to catch that 5 car regardless of who was in front of them. If nothing was in front of them, the 12 car was going to catch them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, real quick before we're going to wrap up the cup stuff, I just wanted to give out a few attaboys. Because my Daniel Suarez and crew chief Jose Blasco, both Hispanic community members. They're both Hispanic. I don't know why I tried to make that awkward. Why did I try to make that? I guess I don't know. I made that awkward for no reason. First Hispanic duo since I think 1957. They said on the broadcast of
Wow.
driver and crew chief,
Awesome.
which is awesome to see. Diversity in a sport. They were running up in the top 10. I think they sped on the last pit stop, so I think he ended up finishing a lap down out inside the top. I think they still finished top 20, which is a good run, but they were running it inside the top 10 with speed, not necessarily like running up there. Kind of caught the cautions at the right way to get them back to the track position and fresh tires over guys, and really use that to their advantage to get up into the top 10, and then they had the speed to stay there in the top 10. Austin Dillon had another top 10 on a mile and a half. Tyler Reddick struggled, but Austin Dillon did good. Again, that goes to show I think Tyler Reddick's helping improve RCR. If you wanna bite on any of these, go ahead. But also Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher gets a top 10, and Roush looked really strong after LeBron James buying part into the Roush or into the Fenway organization. It's all Bron, baby. King James.
All Bron.
All Bron.
Roush as a whole has everywhere they've been showing flashes early in the season. They had not a lot of consistency, but they've been showing flashes. Chris Buescher had that crazy, amazing first stage at Homestead. Yeah. There's inklings of Roush being quote unquote back.
People are gonna say Roush is the second best Ford team, overreacting to Kurt Haas struggling early in the year, I'm sure. But yeah, they're back to being like a solid B tier team, like they were a few years ago. I think before Trevor Bayne kind of fell off the cliff. But yeah, so attaboys there. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. There were a lot of things happening, and I have like so many notes here. Davey's like looking at them; his eyes are getting huge for all our podcast lists.
I'm gonna pull up some notes as well of my own, just to make sure we got all our bases covered here. There's a lot to go over.
There's a lot to go over here. All right. Justin Allgaier wins the Xfinity race. Congratulations to Allgaier, the whole 7 team. They've had a really tough start to the year, and they were able to win. Kyle Busch also won the truck race, but Kyle Busch won the truck. I didn't even watch the truck race because I was watching college basketball, because Michigan was playing at that time, and tournament season. And we won tonight, so go blue, baby. Anyways, Hemric, I think it was last pit stop. Hemric slid through his stall. There was a car behind him. It was the 99 car. I looked back at the pit stall chart, was behind Hemric. He slid through his stall because that 99 was up on the box, so he didn't get a good entry to his stall. Slid into Noah Gragson's stall. Backed up, got back in his stalls, kind of towards the front edge of his stall. Noah has an open stall in front of him. Noah decides to just back it up into the 18 car. He flipped Hemric the bird, I guess. Noah posted the video. No, NASCAR, we'll talk about it, but NASCAR deemed that it was unintentional, because cars always are backing into other cars on pit road. And then you had a scuffle after the race. So let's start with the incident first that kind of caused everything there on pit stops. Hemric slides through his box, and that screws up Hemric's stop. It screws up Noah's stop. Obviously, they're both gonna lose a lot of time. It's possible that Noah misjudged it, right? I mean,
I personally think that it was a misjudgment by Noah. I see in your notes that you don't agree.
I don't agree because I don't you have a stall in front of you. And I think this goes back to what we talked about when we talked about Homestead. There needs to be a level of awareness of the situation you're in.
Hmm.
We talked about, hey, maybe you don't need to be ripping the top with under 10 laps or 3 laps to go when you have a 10-second lead.
Hmm.
Because that's where the cars are going to go if they have issues, and tire wear is an issue. I think in this situation too, it was a misjudgment. If you don't think it's intentional, it's judgment. I
Oh,
I
big
think
time.
there's a misjudgment too. He could have just pulled through the box in front of him and backed up. You're already losing the time. There's no reason to try to start something, especially when it seems like a lot of guys in the garage already don't like you.
Hmm.
You don't need any more enemies out there if you're Noah Gragson.
Yeah, and like a lot of people were saying, oh, the smoking gun was, oh, he was giving him the finger. I don't think that necessarily means it was on purpose. It's just Noah Gragson doing what Noah Gragson does and being angry and throwing the finger at someone. I still think him backing into Daniel Hemric was extremely negligent.
Hmm.
It was incredibly dangerous,
Yep.
regardless if it was intentional or not. And I see people, oh, well, everyone's making a big deal out of it, but nothing happened.
He still could have hit a guy.
I don't fathom that line of thinking.
Guy could have got
I
pinned
don't get
between
it.
the cars. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can happen if guys aren't in the right positions, aren't paying attention, doing
Yeah,
their
that
job.
line of thinking doesn't make sense to me
Hmm.
because you could have took someone's legs. You could have split someone in half basically if you did that to someone while they were standing there. Like you could have broke someone's legs, ended someone's career. It's not he didn't just back into the car. He put 2, 3, 4 guys at risk.
Hmm. Well, and the other thing is too, people are gonna say, and this is coming to me now, Davey. People are gonna say those pit crew guys, they know the risk when they step out on pit road, and uh,
God.
I mean, Daniel Hemric ran over his own pit crew earlier this year. Coming to his stall, like, stop. There's a difference between knowing the risks of your job and someone neglecting the fact that you are taking risks going out there.
Hmm.
It was just, it's something that people have talked about with him. It's something Mike Joy said. For some of these guys that come up, and he's been the latest example, there seems to be. We don't know if this is the case. I'd shoot it just fine. He has the right to do that as a citizen. Erica to say that I'm wrong. That's fine. It's his brain. It's his brain. But there seems to be a lack of care for his fellow competitors, whether they be crew guys, whether they be engineers, whether they be his fellow drivers. I think is
I,
that fair?
I wouldn't disagree. I don't. He's not giving us anything to think opposite. He's
Hmm.
not done anything really that like I used to kind of think that he was um a a young driver. He was kind of dumb. Most
Hmm.
young drivers are dumb in some way. They do something stupid. Every young driver has done something stupid,
Right.
whether you like it or not. That's where I kind of thought he was, but he doesn't seem to want to grow up.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't seem to want to grow up. He got a great ride, and Dale Jr. I mean, I can't really blame Dale Jr. because he's being a good owner. He's got a young driver, and you want to let the young driver develop. As if you have faith in that young driver, if you've put in trust into that young driver, and you're giving them a level of responsibility, you want them to see that out on their own. You want them to grow and figure out these situations as they arise because it will help them be a better driver. Noah Gragson isn't really doing that. He's just kind of making things worse. He's not taking any responsibility for any of his actions. I can't think of a single time where he's taken responsibility for any of his actions, actually, in the past year or so.
Hmm.
It's always been other people.
Right.
Um, he's not growing up.
Hmm.
That's really the root of it. He's not growing up. And Dale Jr., I think Dale Jr. is a great owner. I hate seeing people on Twitter who are like, "This is actually Dale Jr.'s fault because
You
he's
should take
not
him out
reining
of the
his driver in.
car. Take him
You should
out of the
take him out of the
car.
car. He's not reining his driver in. Crack that whip, Dale. Get him back into shape. This is Dale Jr.'s fault." It's like Dale Jr. Dale Jr. has
lot of stuff.
responsibility for Noah Gragson in the sense of he's his boss
Hmm.
for his job. It is his job to oversee Noah Gragson's job as a driver. The talks that they have, they're going to talk about driving and racing, and then people hear about what Dale says on the podcast, which I guarantee you everything that Dale says on the podcast is not everything that he's talking about with Noah. It's not every discussion they've had. It kills me to see people think like that, because I know it's getting to the point now where people are starting to take notice and really see this side of the kid in the 9 car and the Xfinity series. Like he's not a lot of good things are coming out of that camp, Joe.
Yeah. Well, he it's the stuff off the track that gets me. I know I wrote in the notes I thought it was intentional. I'm a Daniel. I like Daniel guy. I'm sure I'm gonna not ever agree that it wasn't intentional,
Yeah.
especially knowing Noah's previous antics. Right? I think that's where maybe based saying he's guilty based on previous facts is where I'm coming from, which is maybe that makes me wrong. It does. In the end, I'm just sitting here. I'm in college, broke. He's driving race cars for a living. I don't think he cares about what I say. What gets me though is well, first let's talk about a little skirmish. Noah was being interviewed by radio. There's a really good video out there that someone, I'm assuming at PRN, posted because they were recording his radio interview probably for their digital. Hemric runs up to him, and Hemric is defending his crew, which I think which is really important, especially with a new team and when something like that happens. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he's in the wrong. He's in the wrong. He shouldn't have went up to Noah." He grabs Noah. You hear, "Don't do that," and then the audio gets bleeped out. So I'm sure there was a lot of S words and F words and words I can't say. And then you get the Noah with a big swing because Daniel grabbed him, which Noah has a right to do. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right not to try to fight him. Daniel with the biggest duck and dodge ever. Big applause to Daniel Hemric for landing that sucker punch. Not sucker punch, but he landed one right on Noah's chin. And then, of course, Noah's gas guy comes over, grabs Daniel in a bear hug, and then Noah runs up and is just throwing fists like a little jerk.
Little child.
Little child.
Yeah, honestly, the fight was the fight. I mean,
I like a little fight.
I have less of a problem with the fight as I do with anything else. Like the fight was the least problematic of all the events.
Exactly. I just wish the crew guys wouldn't grab the other team's driver and put him in a bear hug and then let their driver just beat up on him.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Whatever. Crews are sticking up for their drivers, and that's always good when you stick up for your team. Then Noah does his TV interview after the fact, and he starts off pretty good. And I've noticed this with Noah's interview. I don't remember. I was talking about this with some people last couple nights. He does his TV interview, talks, thanks to the guys, Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops, blah, blah, blah. Goes down the list of sponsors. And then he starts pausing. He's starting to slow down. You can see the little gears turning in his head, smoke coming out of his ears. Davey is not amused. And
I'm listening to him. I'm listening in and taking it all in because you are tearing them apart right now. I'm enjoying it.
You can see there's bad words that I'm not going to use to call him because that's not very nice to call people bad names, but he's not a guy that I would want to be around if he act like the way he was. Starts talking about, if I was Daniel Hemric, I would be angry too with all the success I've had in my career, and starts slamming Daniel's driving ability, even though I think Daniel's second in the points right now. There are people that have been slamming Daniel saying, he's just frustrated because his teammates are outrunning him. They're not.
They're not. He is actually 100% second in points right now.
Behind Austin Cindric, who everyone, again, Cindric's playground.
Finished 13th in Atlanta.
So, here's the thing. If you're going to knock a guy for not being good at racing race cars, you better be a lot better than him. Noah Gragson has 4 career wins in the NASCAR National Series, with 2 in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports, the best Truck Series team at the time when he drove there, especially because he was following William Byron his first year in that 18 truck, coming up through there, as well as being, I believe he was teammates with Christopher Bell as well, who won a Truck Series championship. So 2 wins, one at Martinsville and then one at Kansas. Congratulations, Noah, on those 2 truck wins for KBM. And then first year at JRM, coming off 2 straight championships, with William Byron winning one, and then Tyler Reddick winning the next one, and then him replacing Tyler Reddick because Tyler Reddick didn't have sponsorship and he did, and that's how things work, which is fine. I'm not gonna get into the discussion of pay drivers because I think that belittles drivers, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why you can have money and then also get to Xfinity. You have to be good enough to get to Xfinity. He won 0 races in the same car that won the championship the year before, with less funding, arguably, probably, because again, no full-time sponsorship, and then he had full-time. I don't know. I don't see team financials or anything, so I don't know. And then last year he won at Daytona. Getting pushed by teammates throughout the race, was at the front, did a really good job. Won Daytona. I think people will discount it. I know Davey will discount it. Oh, look at you! You won at Daytona. I think it's an accomplishment, especially when it's that first race of the year. And then won at Bristol by wrecking his teammate for the win. And that sparked a whole summer where he and Justin Allgaier were getting into it. Again, his teammate. Guess who was his teammate last year, Davey? You know who?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Hemric. Daniel Hemric.
Go ahead.
Daniel Hemric.
I'm letting
who was
you do this. This is
part-time
all you.
in that 8 car during a pandemic with no practice. So that was cool. Anyways, Daniel Hemric, in his career, he ran 2 years for NTS Motorsports in the trucks before running a year for Brad Keselowski Racing in the trucks. He didn't win a race. He hasn't won a race in a NASCAR National Series, which all the Noah Gragson fans are being very convenient and pointing that out for us, so that way we don't forget. Sorry, I haven't forgot that Daniel Hemric has like 8 or 9 second place finishes in the Xfinity Series. I haven't forgot that as a guy that likes Daniel Hemric and thinks he's a really cool dude, because I met him and I talked to him one morning at MIS when he was driving for Brad Keselowski with the other 10 people that were there to talk with him and Tyler Reddick, I believe. Hemric goes up to RCR. Gets in the Final Four 2 years in a row, then moves up to Cup with RCR, wins Rookie of the Year, doesn't have a very good rookie season in Cup. RCR was down then, gets replaced by Tyler Reddick last year. We know Reddick ran good for a couple races last year too. Austin Dillon has been a lot better since Reddick. I honestly think that's where the major improvement has been, is with the 3 car, not necessarily the 8 car. Please tell me, and I always hear this now, well, we can't measure success by points finishes. Please tell me why 2 Final Four appearances versus 2 wins. Like, which one pays more money at the end of the season? The 2 wins or the Final Four appearances where you finish 3rd and 4th in points? And in my opinion, what is lesser equipment than the JRM equipment? I think JRM equipment's the A tier. I think RCR is B+. A- maybe, but it's still below. It's still below. And then the Keselowski trucks, they were always B trucks. I don't think they were ever the best Truck Series team like Kyle Busch Motorsports was for 10 years. I don't know. I think if you, we've talked about all these pay drivers too. I don't think knocking a guy's success because he was in lesser equipment than you and he couldn't win races is something you should be doing when you've always been in the best equipment. If you've had to work your way up and you haven't been put into those good rides and you've gotten those wins in the good rides, but you've still worked your way up, sure. People, Daniel Hemric's 30 years old, hasn't won a race. Daniel Hemric's only has been in the National Series since he was 22, 23. So Noah's 22, and he's been in the National Series since he was 18. So they're, Daniel's got a couple years on him, maybe, in National Series race, National Series Trucks Xfinity Cup.
So
I'm confused, Davey. I'm so confused.
So if you ever want to get Joe talking about this, if you want to hear Joe like this more often, wait for Daniel Hemric, Eric Jones, wait for Brett Keselowski to get into some nonsense on the racetrack, and you'll be sure to hear it here on the Fake Racers podcast. Oh my gosh, you went off, you went in. I was letting you do it because you had it already. I know you've been letting this ruminate. You've been smelling it. You've been taking it in, and you have let it all out. Do you feel better?
I don't like it when we go after guys that are good guys. Daniel Hemric's a good guy. You know, Noah hasn't shown me any redeeming qualities as a person.
Ooh,
As a person.
I agree.
Maybe he's a good guy. I haven't met him. I've met Daniel Hemric. I've talked to Daniel Hemric. I actually talked to him, I think it was the weekend after he got engaged with his wife. I've talked to Daniel Hemric. And just the things you see from Noah, he's like that guy in high school that you just really hope says something wrong to the wrong guy and gets his lights punched out. You're not going to do it because you're not going to do it because you're okay with it. You understand how the guy is, but you hope he wrongs. He walks into the wrong bar and says the wrong thing to the bartender, or says the wrong thing to the guys. And it isn't only a matter of time. Dude got in a fight with Harrison Burton last year. Freaking Harrison Burton. He's gotten into fights with Harrison Burton and Daniel Hemric. Two guys that I've never... The next thing to do would be to get into a fight with Matt Kenseth. Like, Brad Keselowski got into a fight with Matt Kenseth. Like, Joey Logano got into a fight... Like, I get it. I just... Ugh. But,
those are also guys that are like... Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano, those are some peak...
aggressive guys. They're aggressive. Yeah. They're aggressive. Noah's aggressive. But here's the thing. Brad Keselowski had won a championship. Joey Logano had won 20 races or 50, had won a bunch of races in the Cup Series. Like, I didn't like the comment. I didn't like putting the guy down. Brandt's CEO was saying stuff on Twitter about how the Poppy Bank CEO needs to reevaluate who he's sponsoring. And I'm like, dude is second in the points. Like, what are we talking about? Kyle Petty, I saw his thing today. Daniel Hemric, he must be frustrated. His teammates are outrunning him. Again, second in the points.
And the Brandt thing is weird because Justin Allgaier is like 8th in points or something like that with the win. He's literally 8th in points with the win. He was like out of the top 10 prior to this week.
I don't get it. The guy was your teammate last year too, so you'd figure there'd be a little more respect there. I talked for... My goodness, we've been talking about this for like 20 minutes now. I've been talking about this for 20 minutes.
Anyway, we've come to the... Denny
Hamlin on Twitter was going off. Denny Hamlin's been great.
You've had your time. Give me this. Last year I was like, man, I'm really starting to like Denny Hamlin. This year, I'm a Denny Hamlin fan. If I cuss on this broadcast or this I've been on the broadcast too long. If I cuss on the podcast, I'm getting a Denny Hamlin diecast next off CircleB with my JTN code, free shipping. But man, Denny Hamlin, the past few weeks, if you don't have a Twitter account, make one and follow Denny Hamlin. Good heavens, it's been fantastic. The things he's been saying, even now, even recently, God. I love Denny Hamlin right now. I love starting to like drivers that are gonna retire. It's my favorite.
Well, you gotta get one. He's probably gonna be around for another 5-6 years.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm getting a Denny Hamlin diecast here soon.
Final note, because that's a really good tie-in to the next segment. I don't know how many times I've seen cars back into other cars on pit road. All right, moving on.
True.
I mean, that's just where I am. I'm angry. Plan B sales. Head on over, use code or CircleB Diecast Plan B sales linked in the description below. Head on over, use code JTN at checkout for free shipping on your orders of $20 or more. So you can buy 3 164s, you can buy a 124 because that'll definitely be over $20. You'll save the $5 on shipping. They're the best. I actually just ordered a bunch of cars. I'm gonna put out a post on Tuesday, March the 23rd, so that'll probably be the day that this comes out. I'm just trying to date it for these fans at home, so they don't think I'm like doing a bunch of crap. But Davey and I, we always like to pick stuff during these, and I think we've picked out some pretty good ones. Davey, do you want to start?
Yeah, I like mine. Mine actually looks pretty good. It's a pretty good racing shirt. The Kyle Larson 2021 Nations Guard 2-spot graphic tee, front and back. Got a nice little Kyle Larson on the front, and then it's got the Nations Guard car on the back. Looks sleek, looks nice. Good green color. Wouldn't want to wear it to the racetrack because that's bad luck, but wear it around the house, you know.
Mm. And it's $25, so you use your code JTN at checkout, and you already got your free shipping. You already got your free shipping. We make it that easy.
Great.
And you help support us at JTN. My pick for this week, I talked to Davey about this. In high school, I actually wanted to do a bunch of art pieces based off of Sam Bass's art. They have a bunch of Sam Bass posters. It has its own category. I actually have a bunch around my room. That Dale Jr. one you can see in the upper right of my frame is the poster from the 2017 Charlotte race. It's really cool. I have a bunch of posters that he did, program covers rather, as posters that he did. But this is the program cover for the 2018 Charlotte All-Star race, which spawned the current Aero package at the 1.5 miles. So if you want a piece of history, this program cover is awesome. And I believe this was probably one of the last program covers he did. So you can go check those out. $19.99, so you might have to get like one little extra little trinket to get that free shipping, or get a bunch of posters. They're great. I believe there's going to be a sale coming up too, and they always do these spring sales, and the posters are always half off, so you can get a couple posters for the price of one. Again, CircleBDiecast.com. Use code JTN at checkout for free shipping on your orders of $20 or more. Davey, you're in the go-kart this past weekend, huh?
I was in a couple actually. I had someone had me drive theirs for the second heat in the feature this past weekend. Boy oh boy, I'm tired. I'm worn out. I need to go to the gym for realsies. It was a rough weekend.
I was gonna say we were talking about you got the circle weight, so you can use it as the steering wheel.
The grip weights, and I'm gonna do those steering wheel workouts that race car drivers do. 10-pound weight. It's gonna be great. Gonna mix it in with my regular like running and stuff that I do after work. Anyway, the race day. I mean, it wasn't a very good race day for me. First heat was decent. Kind of got a little jumbled up on the start. Had some more contact with someone else. Kind of messed up the front bumper a little bit. We got into a lot of incidents, but we finished like 6th or 7th out of 14 guys. So around the top half of the field. Second heat started in the back. Man just got caught up in stuff and lost the draft early because our track has a long enough straightaway to where it's a draft track. And so I finished like 13th or 12th out of the 14 guys in that one. That was not very good. And then the last one, because of my bad finish in the second heat, ended up starting near the back. Got jumbled up on the start again. Had some guys laying back who didn't time the restart very well, so I lost the draft early.
Shouldn't be laying back like that.
I was dead last, and there was a guy in front of me who was losing the draft, and I caught up to him, and we were able to draft back up to like the second pack. It was like maybe 5 or 6 people all together, and the guy in front of me's bumper, his rear bumper, came off. Not all the way; it was hanging off. So like, if this were the back of the go-kart, right? It's like hanging off, kind of like this, and then it's doing this, and then by the end, it's pointing straight at me. For some reason, the race director didn't black flag him, even though I was pointing at it and I was waving. Every time I went by the start finish line, I was pointing at the bumper, pointing back. I mean, if that came off, I run over it, I'm hurting. Like I am wrecking. I'm wrecking the hell out of this thing if that comes off.
Maybe found a word you can use.
God, yeah, it's true. It's true. I gotta use the hell out of it. And then because, like I said, it's a draft track, I couldn't get close enough to actually draft. So I find a point to try and send it in, and I send it in. But at that point, we'd already lost the draft, so I finished like 10th or something. It's just a bad week, and it was not good. Not a good race day. But learned a lot. The kart drove great. If I was in any sort of shape whatsoever, we'd be running a lot better, but I'm not in shape and my arms are still killing me. So that's why we're going to the gym. That's why I was working out today. I had a full night. I have not been able to rest once. I did the broadcast with Joe. The hustle is on here in the Hazard household to get back to karting excellence the way I
Also,
know how to do it.
still getting rid of that COVID.
Getting rid of the
It's a real
COVID
thing.
physique and the COVID lungs. I'm telling you guys, if you get COVID, you gotta work and do something just to be active because my lungs are so bork. It is unbelievable. I get up. Joe probably hears me on TeamSpeak or on Discord, or even before the broadcast. I was like, like I was like breathing literally because I was eating. Like it's absurd. But we're working on it, making progress.
Getting
We've lost
better.
10 pounds since the last race, so
Let's go, Davey. Let's go. And that's not
still
water weight, right? That's
still
not
20
water.
pounds, still 20 pounds overweight, but
Hey, but you were 30 pounds overweight, so that's progress.
it's true.
20 is
It's
better
true.
than 30 on
It's
this
true.
journey. Well, I guess good reps this. I guess
It was good reps. It was good reps, and eventually my arms will be there, and I'll start working out my core, and I'll be able to drive it like I know I should be able to. But right now, I'm falling out of the thing, and I drove someone else's go kart for a heat and a feature. So, but that one I finished third out of fifth. I mean, the kart was fast, but I was
out of
that
it.
was it was for a lower weight class, and I was out of it. So instead of being like 20 pounds overweight, I was like 30 or 35 in that class. But I finished third out of five in both races, so I
Let's
can't be
go.
too mad about it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Anyway, a lot of racing this weekend. I'm
A lot of
glad.
racing coming up this weekend, actually.
We are.
We're going dirt
I am
racing.
excited for the dirt races. I cannot wait.
I think it's gonna be bad. I really do.
I don't think so.
I'm very well. It's gonna be good. Like NASCAR road courses are good. They're good because like the cars aren't for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really worried. I saw pictures of the track from the second or Saturday night, and it was
Mm-hmm.
really rubbered in, and you don't want that because then it's asphalt track. And I think the whole premise of this dirt race is to make guys have the back end sliding around and ooh, dirt racing.
We'll have to see what kind of prep they do to the track over the week and stuff.
Well, I'm wondering if they'll end up having to do something at the stage breaks.
Mm-hmm.
If they'll maybe have them take like 10 minutes on pit road and go out there real quick with the water truck or something.
Yeah.
To figure.
Because we got Austin Hakes, friend of the show. He was talking about how he thinks it's kind of stupid that they're running the heat races on a separate day from the feature races.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily disagree with in terms of dirt racing as a normal entity, as a normal day. Maybe what they're going to try and do is do a little bit of track work over the night.
Yeah.
I'm guessing is they'll try and get the track back.
Yep.
Instead of just leaving it be. So that's probably the only reasoning I could think of.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the whole. I thought the heat races would be at like 1, and then they'd still be on FS1, and then they'd lead in. But they're going to be on FS1 before the truck race, and the truck race is going to have heats before the cup heats. And we're talking about doing a live show again. See if that works out. So stay tuned for that. That's why you got to follow JTN on Twitter and like our Facebook page because that's where we'll announce everything. Be connected with there. But I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna. I'm worried. I shouldn't say I think it should suck. I'm worried it's gonna suck. Because Bristol is such a good track.
I get that.
And I'm really worried that we're gonna just because the attendance was down because it was the spring race and not the night race. Thanks, COT car. Entry lists came out. This was something I was kind of surprised by. The trucks have 44 entries for 40 spots. Cup Series didn't have 40 entries. I kind of figured with the way Fox has been building this race, there'd be a couple like Rick Ware would try to bring an extra car. Maybe MBM brings a second car. I was kind of surprised there wasn't any extra entries. I'm assuming probably the purse isn't any bigger than it normally would be, so maybe that's why. Even though again, it's being billed as this big event.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah.
Not to knock it, that say it's not a big event. But like Talladega's going to have 40 cars in April.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And I don't think of Talladega, with the way everything's been built, as a bigger event. Because Fox has gone in, like, for the last month saying, oh, we're 21 days away from the Bristol Dirt race. We're 4 days
Yeah.
away. And
Yeah.
this is a lot of Fox's doing, of wanting like a marquee event, even though they have the Daytona 500 and they have the All-Star race. A lot of Fox is doing, saying, well, NBC gets the Bristol night race and 500 and Indianapolis champion. What do we get? Get the most watched race here, but
True.
no
Also,
splitters. No splitters on the cars. Sorry, go ahead.
nope. Don't care. No splitters.
Or if there are splitters, they're going to be very small. But
No
I think
splitter.
it's no.
It's no splitter. Bob Parker's confirmed this.
Okay, so no splitters, because splitters dig into the dirt.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Josh Berry. His car, not him. He was spotted at Charlotte Motor Speed Turf today.
Really funny. Really funny.
It was pretty good. But Davey, I'm gonna let you're gonna pick Parker Kligerman for the trucks, right?
Correct.
All right, so I got that down. Who are you picking for the cup?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about this, and I'm no closer to a decision than I was a week ago. I don't think that. Huh.
I don't think Larson's gonna win, oddly enough.
No, I don't think so either.
I think something will happen.
Even though Larson seems to have really matured as a driver this season, he's really complete. Where I used to not think he wasn't as complete. He's proving me wrong.
I think Hendrick is probably the main reason for that, honestly.
You would think so. I don't think it's gonna be a dirt guy. Like, truthfully,
Ooh.
don't think it's gonna be a dirt guy.
Interesting.
I'm gonna throw one out from left field here. I think on you, Joe.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Hit me with it.
I'm gonna send this one in, and it's gonna bounce around a little bit, and it's gonna bounce out. But I'm gonna go with Ryan Preece.
Ooh. I like it.
I'm gonna go with Ryan Preece.
Got nothing to lose with that 37. They don't have sponsorship through the entire season, so they're still looking. You can get a win. I think that would definitely help.
My reasoning on that is Ryan Preece drives a lot of race cars.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Preece has done well in a lot of race cars. He's done well in Cup cars. He's won Xfinity races. Extremely talented modified driver, which doesn't really translate to dirt at all because modified tires are huge and they're super gripped up. I understand this doesn't translate at all. I just think he's a really multi-talented race car driver. I think he'll figure it out quicker than we think. I think I'm just gonna throw my shot on him, and I'll probably crash and burn on this one. Probably gonna be completely wrong, but it's just a little inkling I got in my chest, in my toozy over here,
In your Fake Racers podcast hoodie.
Correct.
I like it. I think that's a valid reason. I think the dirt guys, they're gonna be good, but I just feel like they're gonna be pushing too hard. Someone's gonna make a mistake. But I am gonna go with a dirt guy for the truck race. And I'm gonna go with Chase Briscoe in the 04 truck. I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah. Chase Briscoe would have been my real pick.
I really want to pick him for the cup race too, just because I like Chase Briscoe.
Not lying, Chase Briscoe would have been my go-to pick if I was going to pick a go-to guy. Yeah, but I decided not to do that.
Well, you know what? Then
wonky race, wonky pick.
You convinced me. I'm gonna say Chase Briscoe sweeps the weekend.
Go for it. That would be so.
That would be awesome, man.
That'd be so cool.
Would they make the diecast set of his truck and his cup car raced version like they did for Kyle Busch?
That'd be awesome.
No, I think Briscoe just needs a really good run, so I think he's gonna get it this weekend. They need some momentum with that 14 car. I still don't understand why you didn't bring up Chris Boswell with him from Xfinity, like he did with Shiplet with Custer. I don't get that. Riley Herbst doing better last couple weeks, but I think he's still struggling a little bit. I don't know why you'd ruin that good crew chief pairing that you had down at Xfinity. I don't get it. I don't get it. Johnny Klossmeyer also, good guy. Done pretty good with calls and whatnot.
Good guy.
But he worked with Eric Almirola for a while, and I think maybe going back down to Xfinity would have helped him. developing a little bit. I think I don't think that fits as well. I don't think that's as good of a fit. I really think Boswell and Briscoe were a good fit, and I think in a couple of years that they'll be back together. But anyways, I'm picking Chase Briscoe for both of them.
Cool. Dig it.
You got any other thoughts about Bristol? I want to see if someone scales the fence, honestly, because I'm still not convinced someone isn't going to scale the fence either with how low those walls are.
Man, I just cannot tell you how excited I am for this. I'm
Yes.
I'm booking my weekend. This I am watching these races.
Yep.
This is going to be so much fun. I'm going to have such a blast watching this. I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been so excited for this race. I don't care. I like seriously, people have been complaining about this race forever.
I
We've
don't
had
think
this
there's a
conversation
reason to complain about it.
over and over again. But I am so glad. I am looking forward to a NASCAR race.
That
Like,
isn't the
obviously,
Daytona 500.
Like, you look forward to the Daytona 500. You say, I was like, oh yeah, NASCAR, cool, yeah, woo, I like NASCAR. I am looking forward to this. At the very least, to just see it. I guarantee you, most people are thinking about this race and like, God, I can't wait to see how that is. Like, it's such a good feeling. I love when NASCAR's fun, and NASCAR hasn't been fun in like a decade.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that guy that says that, but man, I miss like NASCAR trackside and then NASCAR race day, and then like the race was an event and it was fun and I was looking forward to it. And this, like, the way they're hyping this up and all the psych, I already know there's the
Just worry
pre-race is going to be fantastic. And
worry it's gonna be a letdown. I'm worried.
in your head, what is a letdown?
Big junk lap 2, and we got 10 cars running.
I mean, how much junk do you think there's going to be?
I don't know. That's the thing we don't know.
You're going to go to
Well,
junk a car?
we don't know, Davey. We don't know. It's the fear. I'm gonna be watching the practices Friday. I think that'll probably calm my nerves. I'm a very anxious person when it comes to this stuff. I mean, when we talked about the schedule, 3-4 months ago now, the first thing I said is, oh, it's cool, but I don't like taking a race away from Bristol. Like, you have a good track, don't take a good track and turn it into something. Why not take a race away from another track or figure it out that way, right? But this is the only facility that they felt they could do this. Good on SMI to continue to try to boost their portfolio with races, too. I mean, now if this works, which it probably will, because you got a lot of smart people, big brains, right? Big brains, bigger brains than us. If it works, it's gonna give SMI another big date outside of the Bristol night race and the Roval, Coke 600. Like, look at those. Look at how they've changed those up to make the other race bigger and better. So, I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm always skeptical when we change. Not in the way of some of our pals, but that one's for you, Ryan.
Oh man.
Speaking of,
can't wait.
Speaking of, make sure if you watched us on YouTube, you also check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, as well as some other platforms, which you can find on our Anchor page. Make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube, though. That's like, you've liked our page on Twitter. We just got over 500 subscribers, Davey, so we're doing something right.
Woo!
We're doing something right here at JTN. You can go to the JTN merch store, get some kick butt merch. Davey's got the Fake Racers podcast hoodie on. I've got the shirt, the JTN shirt. I'm not gonna pull it up any higher. It's higher because you don't see that or want to see it. But we really appreciate you guys listening as always. Hopefully you enjoyed my little rant. I guess I kind of ranted there in the middle of Davey.
It was good.
But he let me go. He let me go, so that's how I know it was good.
When Joe is going and he's going on a driver that he likes and that's the cause of it, you let Joe go, because Joe's gonna drop those diamonds. He's gonna drop those. There's gonna be phrases in there. There's gonna be little things, and they're gonna all culminate into one big shining moment where Joe Twansky poops all over Noah Gragson.
And again, let's just get this out of the way. When we talk about drivers or crew chiefs or engineers or personalities, it's a lot of not knowing the person too, and just seeing that outside looking in. So
We can only discuss what we
no.
see and what we know.
Mhm.
And if that's not the case, then so be it.
Tell us we're wrong.
It's
X,
all
Y,
we
and
got.
Z. Shout
And
us
and
out.
and it's unfortunate that it's this way, but in a way, like, drivers know that they're gonna, like, they know what's gonna get shown. They know what they're doing. Like,
Mhm.
they know when an interview's happening and what they're saying. It's not as if they're completely victims to this. But like Joe said, like, we don't know everything. So take everything that we say with a grain of salt, and with the knowledge that we don't have the knowledge that a lot of people close to these people have.
Not in the industry. I'm trying to get there. They're probably trying to get there too. That's all
Yep,
we
a
can
little
do.
bit.
Want to learn.
We
Help
want
us
to learn.
learn. Teach us more about you. Contact us. We're here. Here for it. Love to talk.
It's time to
Tell
contact.
us we're wrong, but do it in a nice way. Because we try to do it in a nice way too.
Mhm.
You know, if something I said was out of line, I don't think I said anything too far out of line. I don't think I said anything that was or outside of facts. Maybe there's opinions in there, but there's always gonna be opinions.
If you're tweeting me, you can be angry.
Yeah, I don't deal good with. I like constructive, not ooh you suck.
God, I love you, suck critic.
Davey just wants people to talk with on Twitter. That's all he
True.
wants. Davey just wants people to talk with him on Twitter.
I want to
Anyways,
blow up the notifications.
we're supposed to wrap this up, Davey. So where can they find out more from you?
Ooh, you know where they can find out more about me, Joe?
In the links in the description.
Well, I was gonna say on Twitter at Davey Hazard, on Instagram at D7H5, and on Twitch at D7H5 with an ER at the end. As always, when JTN isn't broadcasting USRL Cup race, I'll usually broadcast it in his place from my point of view.
Which won't
So,
happen anymore this year.
which won't happen
Because
anymore this year.
we got the remaining 12 races, which I think we've only broadcast 12 races so far. So now we get to do the final 12. So it's gonna be fun. 24 out of the 30 or 32. Wait, how many? You can buy the JTN schedule t-shirt on the JTN merch store. So go buy that JTN merch. Help support us. It's soft. It feels so good. That hoodie looks fan-freaking-tastic. Comes in multiple colors. Same with most of the merch. You can buy Tommy's World merch. Support Tommy. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sure if he's even listening, Tommy, we appreciate you so much. I wonder if he's even going to hear this.
He never will.
Tommy, if you heard us say this, tell me. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, make sure you like the podcast if you're on a podcasting platform. You like the video, you subscribe to us here at JTN. It supports us. It helps us more than you will ever know. For all of us here at JTN, for producer Bristol, who's down and to my left, for Davey Hazard,
From me,
from Davey Hazard. I always do that at the end of the broadcast, and I forget this is a podcast and they can see you and you can talk. But
it's me.
me.
I'm the one from me to you, the listener.
This video wouldn't be possible without viewers like you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys the next one. Make sure, hey, Twitter, Facebook, go check it out because we might have a live show coming, and you'll love to hear our opinions and yell at us live. That's the best place.
We might have a live show coming.
So, see you guys.